The Miami Heat are 6-4 in their first 10 games. Everybody is ecstatic with how the team has played, considering they've had no Tyler Hero and no Bam Adebayo for essentially 3 games, myself included. But we also have to realize that Miami has been winning when they have a major problem. And it's a problem that simply needs to be corrected sooner rather than later. Because if it is not, they are going to ultimately start losing multiple games in a row because of this. And the issue that I'm referring to is the fact that the Miami Heat cannot rebound the ball. They are one of the worst rebounding teams in the NBA through the first 10 games, and it has been super, super frustrating. For example, yes, they are 6-4. They have been out rebounded in 7 of the 10 games they played this year. Ironically enough, they actually out rebounded both the Magic and Grizzlies in their first 2 games of the season. So if you just take the first 2 away, they've been out rebounded in the last 7 of 8 games. The only game that they actually out rebounded their opponent in the last 8 games was last Sunday against the Los Angeles Lakers when they out rebounded them by 1, 42-41. But if you just looked at the last 4 games that the Heat have played, they have been out rebounded by double digits in 3 of those 4 games and by 20 or more in 2 of those 3 games. I mean, getting out rebounded by the Denver Nuggets, who, yes, are very big, strong, and athletic with that front court that includes Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, Jonas Valanciunas, Peyton Watson. But getting out rebounded by 23, that's embarrassing. And what's the excuse against Charlotte? Yeah, Ryan Kalkbrenner is a 7-foot-plus type of guy. And they've got Diabate coming off the bench who's energetic and crashes the glass. But you have guys that should be fighting on the boards, making sure this isn't possible. And honestly, it's kind of a miracle that Miami was able to go 3-2 in this 5-game stretch by getting out rebounded by such a wide margin. Because when you get out rebounded, it is very difficult to win games. It's not impossible, as Miami has shown, because they've been out rebounded in the last 4 games, but they've won 3 of them. But like, you can't do it consistently. And when you get to the playoffs, it's going to be a major issue that you won't be able to overcome in these tight games. And yes, I know Bam Adebayo basically missing the last 3 games because he left early in that Nuggets game hasn't helped, because he is your best rebounder in terms of actually grabbing the boards, boxing out, and fighting on the glass to allow others to come in and clean up the rebounds. But you need to be able to correct this, because if Adebayo is going to be out for a longer period of time, let's just say another week and a half, 2 weeks, like, you're not going to be able to win games when you play the Cavs twice, the Knicks twice, the Bulls. Like, you got to be able to correct this ASAP. And as we get into it more, are you concerned about the rebounding numbers that Miami has had? I certainly am. I'm very ecstatic with 6-4. I asked for 5-5. I got 1 game better, but I am not thrilled with the rebounding Miami has displayed. I mean, you look at the rebounding leaders for Miami over the last 3 games, and this correlates with the time that Bam Adebayo has missed. Ware has averaged 10.3 rebounds, but I'll be honest here, and I don't want to bash the kid because I do that quite a bit, but that might be the fakest 10 rebounds per game I have ever seen, because the effort he displays on the glass is flat out embarrassing. And what I saw against the Hornets, what I saw against the Nuggets specifically, is grounds for him to be benched. And if Miami had better options out there in the front court on their roster currently, I think Ware's minutes would severely decrease. Yeah, he's been starting, but we have seen his minutes actually not go up the rate you would have expected with Adebayo fully out of the lineup. They've tried to close with small ball Jovic at the 5, and they even had a lineup against the Blazers at one point that their tallest player was Andrew Wiggins. I think it was Wiggins, Jaquez, Powell, Larson, and Davion Mitchell at one point in that 4th quarter. Like, the 2 players that need to step up specifically on this Heat roster are Nikola Jovic and Kel'el Ware. And yeah, we got an absolute masterful performance from Nikola Jovic on Saturday night when he had 29 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. But those rebounding numbers need to be consistent. He has the capability of being a guy who averages 6, 7 rebounds a night, but he needs to show that more often. too often he wants to play on the perimeter, and too often he wants to leak out in transition. And I know that makes him special because he can handle the ball and he likes to get downhill in transition and create those easy opportunities for Miami. But you got to have the ball in order to create those opportunities. And Jovic at 6'10", 6'11", doesn't fight on the glass nearly as much as he needs to be. Him and Ware play way too soft. And I think Jovic, his issue isn't laziness as much as Kel'el Ware's is. His is just like he doesn't have the physicality and mental fortitude to bang down low with some of these physical imposing presences in the NBA. Those two need to be better on the glass. And over the last 5 games, Miami has just been out-rebounded not only in total, but the difference in offensive rebounds has just been absolutely catastrophic. And I'll continue to make this point. If the Heat continue to let up offensive rebounds at the rate that they are currently through the first 10 games of the season and over the last 5, they will not be able to win games. This is not sustainable. It will catch up to them. I mean, just look at the difference from the Heat side compared to their opponents. This year, through the first 10 games, Miami is averaging 8.7 rebounds offensively a night. That is dead last 30th in the NBA. Now, a lot of that can be because the Heat are shooting so efficiently and are some of the best offensive teams in the NBA to where there's just not a lot of offensive rebound opportunities. That can be true, but it also can be true that they aren't a good rebounding team. And I think it is more evident that is the case considering they give up 13.6 offensive rebounds per game. That is the second highest number in the NBA. The only team that gives up more offensive rebounds per night than Miami is the Atlanta Hawks. You are not going to be able to be a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference allowing this amount of offensive rebounds a night. You need to be better on that end. And it's a specific issue, in my opinion, is because if you do have serious aspirations in terms of contending in the Eastern Conference this year, some of the top teams in the East, and these are probably my top 5 teams in the East outside of Miami, all but one of them are excellent offensive rebounding teams. The only team that doesn't offensive rebound well that I think is a contender in the East are the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 28th, just slightly better than Miami. But the 8-2 Pistons, the 7-3 Knicks, the 7-3 Cavaliers, the 4-6 Magic, who I still think are going to turn it around, they are all top half offensive rebounding teams in the NBA, and the Pistons and Knicks are both top 10. And those two teams are the 1 and 2 teams in the East right now. You need to be better on the glass if you want to compete with these teams deep in the season and in the playoffs when we are playing in physical, long, draining 7-game series. More coming up here, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel. No watch party tonight, unfortunately, but we will be back live on Wednesday for Heat Cavs and live on Friday for Heat Bulls. So make sure you subscribe and join us. But the question I have to ask here is, can it be fixed? Because I'm not sure there is a concrete solution to this rebounding issue Miami has until Bam Adebayo returns from injury. I hope fans are realizing how important Bam Adebayo is to this Heat team. And I know people think he's good, but there is a portion of this fan base that believes he is overpaid, overrated, and should be traded. I don't think you can watch this Heat team play and seriously come up with that thought process any longer unless you are just a Bam Adebayo hater. His impact defensively and his effort on the glass, both defensively and offensively, are second to none. And I just don't see Miami becoming an average to an above average rebounding team with their current roster with Bam Adebayo's sideline. Like, maybe they could have combated some of these issues if they still had Precious Achiuwa, which is why I don't understand why Miami ultimately waived him before the season. They have a current open roster spot. They have 14 standard contracts right now. If they get Rozier's spot voided, it would go down to 13, and they'd have a lot of money, obviously, to spend in free agency or on a trade potentially. But Miami could have kept Precious Achiuwa around until early January, right? And then his contract would have been guaranteed, but you could have kept Precious and then waived him before the January 10th deadline and stayed underneath the luxury tax. Achiuwa then signed with a different team. He is no longer a free agent. He is on an NBA roster. So you are now currently unable to bring him back. And although he's a little undersized, one thing you could always say about Precious Achiuwa is his willingness to fight tooth and nail for rebounds on the offensive glass, one of the statistically best offensive rebounders pound for pound in the NBA, but also on the defensive glass. I would have loved to have been able to toss him out there with some of these Heat lineups and just have him gobble up rebounds and close out defensive possessions. But Miami doesn't. So is there a different player they can go out and go grab in free agency? We'll take a look here in just 1 second. But the holidays are approaching very quickly, folks. And this Miami Heat PJ set, little flannel pants, nice little easy red t-shirt, is 50% off when you go to chatsports.com/HeatPJ set and use code TURF. Now, the sale ends tonight, but go to chatsports.com/HeatPJ set and enter code TURF at checkout to get 50% off. All sizes are available. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Perfect gift opportunity right now. Now, the rumors are with Miami is that they are currently waiting until early December to make a move with this roster. I mentioned that they have an open roster spot available. They are $1.7 million underneath that luxury tax threshold. But if they sign a veteran right now for the remainder of the season, that cap number would take them into the luxury tax. Now, they could get underneath it by making a salary-saving trade at the deadline in February, but let's just say they don't make a trade. They would be able to sign a veteran in mid-December. I think it's like December 6th or December 7th, the date. But after that specific date in the first week of December, they are then able to sign a veteran to a prorated contract, which would then keep them under the threshold that they have of the luxury tax, because the cap number would only be like 1.6, 1.5, and I mentioned they're 1.7 from crossing it. So they will probably add a player in free agency sometime in December. But who could that be? Well, I think these are 8 serious options for the Miami Heat. Mo Bamba is a free agent. He was actually waived in the last month. 27-year-old big man who, listen, he's just not been able to find his spot in the league, but he's a big fellow that could be a third big. Wiseman, former top 3 pick, same thing, was just waived in the last couple of weeks. Bol's still been out there. And you got some guys that have been waived recently. Charles Bassey, Tyler Smith, former second rounder from a couple of years ago, who's more of a 4 than a 5. But then you got some 5s in Christian Koloko, Amari Williams, Oscar Tshiebwe, all currently on 2-way contracts. Koloko with the Lakers, Amari Williams with the Celtics, and I actually spaced on who Tshiebwe is with currently. It might be the Kings. But either way, those 3 guys, I would be very fascinated with plucking them off of their respective teams on a 2-way deal off to a standard contract. Specifically Amari Williams with the Boston Celtics, because I actually really liked him coming out of the draft. He was a second-round selection by Boston this just past June, and I liked him. I actually think I tweeted out in June that I wanted the Miami Heat to trade up and buy a second-round pick late to draft Amari Williams, or I was praying, and I tweeted out that he made it to undrafted free agency, where Miami ultimately could sign him. Because, yeah, he's undersized, 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", but he is an excellent rebounder, and his block percentage at Kentucky a year ago was just absolutely through the roof. There is no question asked about it, in my opinion. Miami needs to add another big man. They do. Their third big man right now, outside of Bam and Ware, is either small ball Nikola Jovic or uber small ball Keshad Johnson. And let's just call a spade a spade. Keshad Johnson, we've seen enough. He is not an NBA player, and the way Miami uses him, it's not his fault, it's just egregious. The guy is 6'6", 6'7", and they're asking him to play center. Like, that's just not fair to him. It's not fair to the team. Yeah, he's burly, and he's absolutely yoked and won't be moved off of his spot, but he just gives up so much size where he gets matched up with some of these big men. Those high rebounds, they just easily grab him. And when they post him up, this turnaround easy hook, non-contested. Like, I'm sorry, it's not his fault, but the Heat can't play him anymore where they do at the small ball 5. Like, that's the only minutes he gets. But even if they played him at the 3 or the 4 along with a big, he's not an NBA player. I couldn't understand why Miami signed him to a standard contract in July. They should have used that roster spot somewhere else on a vet min deal. They went with Keshad Johnson. Can't rewrite history, unfortunately, but we need to find a better option outside of Jovic, Ware, and Bam at big than Keshad Johnson. And if the Heat do make a move, we will have you covered. I also live tweet every game, so go give me a follow at Nic_Rohloff.